Welcome back to Factorio Masterclass. My name is Nilaus and we are here on GLEBA, and oh, what a joy it is to be here. Well, I've set aside 3 episodes to cover the basic first visit to GLEBA, and the first one we set up our little hub, our storage and rocket area, and our power plant. So those are the ones we set. We also prepared some lines for some potential hub build or some bus build, which is what we're going to be doing today. So what we need to do is also a small thing that I've done here is I've set up this little thing. I put a beacon in here because I want this to run fast. Then actually I think it would be nice if I could do that one, because why not? Because that's going to be taking a lot of power because of the beacon. And up here we have something that we reserved for a little bit later. We have something here that's reserved. But what we're going to do today is we are going to go out here and take a look at some of these, the agricultural tower, because we're going to start to do some farming today. So the way we're going to do farming, that means we need some ammo. Good. So we got ammo. We don't need a lot of ammo, but we need a little bit. And then we have some up here. We are going to need those for the pentapod eggs soon. But first we want to get this part in here. So we'll be doing a little bit, and I want to get the power down here and roboports down here as well. So I'm going to be perpetuating it down here, or getting it all the way over to this area. And we're just going to go over here, and we can clean up afterwards. We can get clean up. But what we want to do is, there we go. We want to get a few of these, and then we get the Yamako. Those are the 2 techs we have. We're unlocking here the main techs to sort of get resources, Yamako and jelly nut. And they give us jelly nuts and Yamako fruits respectively. And we see that that is coming in here, Yamako, and that can be processed into Yamako processing. The thing is, Yamako is lasting for an hour, while Yamako mesh only lasts for, I don't know, 5 minutes or something. Where does it say? Growth time, Yamako seed. Okay, whatever. Let's do it this way. There. That is lasting for 3 minutes. So it only 3 minutes to last. So keep it in Yamako form instead of Yamako mesh, because that's going to last longer. So we now have basically an hour, and we want to make sure that whatever we do with this is sustainable. So what I want to do, and here's a big caveat. What I'm doing now is not actually the most effective build, but it's the build that, as you can probably see, fits very well to how I like doing things in my bases. So it's going to be, I would say, I can completely concede that it's controversial, and you're very welcome to disagree with this idea. But what I want to do is I want to use city blocks. Well, big surprise, isn't it? Big surprise. So what I want to do for these city blocks is I actually want to just force these in, because the thing is, if we look at our here, if we look at it sort of from this location, and then from this location, and from this location, and this location, then you can see these 4 are actually covering pretty well the entire area of a city block. Inside we still have 6 areas, but you can also see the problem here is that there's a lot of good valuable space on the path here that's just going to be left open, and I can't use that. So I can understand if you don't like this. What I really like about it is, well, then I have the city blocks, and what I'm then going to focus on is sort of getting the next tier, because there are 3 tiers of farmable land. There's the brightest green yellowish here, where things grow naturally. Then there's sort of the next hue here, which you can make soil, and then there's the other hue out here, which you can get some very much later soil. So if we can get the normal natural one, and if we can also get the second tier, then that I'm going to be fine with that, because the second tier we can get that from pretty easy at pretty much this tech level. So that's going to be my objective. We're going to be building this, and if we look at this part, well, I actually want it to be there. Okay, because if I now look at this part, it's still within, and we now have 3 tiles in the middle. So I think this is the place where we want to get it. Yes, so that's the correct tile. Because as it so happens, you can see this is coming in chunks of 3x3s, and if all the tiles inside the 3x3 are the right color, then it turns green. if they're all within. But if in this case you can see this area here, it's not all of the 9 tiles inside of a 3x3 square that's the right type, the most fertile ground, then it doesn't become a plantable seed. So all this doesn't become plantable, even though you could sort of start optimizing it by sort of hovering it around and trying to get the optimal, which is something that this is very tempting to do this, but I want to build it so that it has a structure for moving forward. So that's my choice. But it also means that as soon as you start building anything inside of these areas, then you invalidate that as a planting area, even if it's a potentially good planting area. So as long as when you build this one here, it can't plant in that location. So what we want to do is we want all of our supporting equipment, because this is unpowered, to be within 1 square. And that's then going to be the challenge. So what I want to do is I want it here, and then I also want to be getting it out here. Good. So that means now to get powered. And what I then need to do for this one, I want to get an outbound here. This outbound will be only this. And I'm then going to take another one, which is only anything except that. And I'll be saying anything that is... Come on. There. Anything that isn't available, isn't this... will just go out and get junked. Fine. We're just going to get a light in here as well. And then I also need to get something in, because in order for us to seed something here, we actually need seeds. This one has an output, and that output goes in. Where's that output going? I want it on a belt, and we can actually do this, and it is not obstructing any of the buildable tiles. So I get as much in here as possible. I'm then going to be requesting some seeds here. We don't have any, but we'll get those by processing this. So this is going to be our little build here. Yeah. And this build, I can then flip it like this. And that goes up here. Then I can take these two. And I can flip them. Yes. And there we go. Right. There we go whenever this gets filled in. And I also need it down here. There. Like, this is the maximum distance for non-legendary power poles or non-quality power poles, which means now this is working. Obviously these out here are not doing anything, so we don't want this, but right now what we're doing is we're building a template. So I also want this to go out here. And I want the same thing on the other side. We're just gonna kill all of this. And there, that's the 6 tiles we need, and there we go. So this is actually going to be our build, and we can then take this build and we can stamp it down over here. We can stamp it down here, and we can stamp it down here. So that's the basic premise. Although I am going to say, you know, these are not going to be used for anything, because there's nothing. If there's nothing farmable within this area, then I'm not going to keep it. This has farmable area. This does not have farmable area. You have farm, yeah, you have one farmable area, so whatever, we'll keep it. The funny thing is, like, this tile here is apparently not farmable. It's close, but no. But as long as it has one, we'll keep it like this. The reason why I'm removing the other ones is because they will actually attract seeds. And now what I can do is I can get the Yumako processing, get that going, and then I can get some seeds so we can start planting again. These ones should also start working. They're going to go out here. And we are then going to have this out on a belt. I am actually going to... here. Getting this inbound from the other side. Yeah, and... like that. So we go in here, and then this is going to be a balancer, so that we get it out on one side. So this thing is now coming back, and that's going to go on that bus. So what we do now is we need to do the same thing for the jelly nut and build the same kind of build, except in this case it's actually going to be turning the other way, but I'm going to design it so it moves the same way. And then I actually want the jelly nut to also come in from the side, and that's because it just feels better to have everything come in from one side. But in your build, it's almost certainly that you're going to get one on one side and the other on the other side, or top, bottom, whatever. But Yeah, that's how it is. But we're going to do up here, and we're going to unlock the other tech. There we go. That also means we get the biochamber. For some reason, we have already created nutrients. And if we get Bioflux, so we also want to make a biochamber. The biochamber needs iron plates, not a problem. Electron circuits, not a problem. Nutrients, yeah, okay. Pentapod eggs, that's what we need. And landfill. So what I want to do is I want to craft one of these. Can I handcraft them? Yes, I can. So if I get the 20 iron plates in here, we're just going to junk all of this. Let me get 20 iron plates. Personal logistics, thank you. We're going to leave these Yumako seeds. I really want them to be processed. And ideally, I want them processed with productivity modules. And ideally, I want them processed in a biochamber. So it's all about getting biochambers now. The first, we can't farm the pentapod eggs, so we need to go out and get some pentapod eggs, and we do that here. Now with red ammo and a few upgrades, it's pretty damn trivial. We get a few pentapod eggs, perfect, and we can now build the first of these. See, the thing is, I actually only want one. Why one? Because I want to produce the other ones inside of a plant here. So when we get this one, I'm going to put it here. And then I'm going to get this one in here as well. And up in this location, I have said I want 50 of these pentapods. And that's the one. What you want to build first is, of course, more pentapod productivity. And if you add efficiency modules, they consume less fuel. So that's also the Bioflux is now created. Okay, so I'm going to do this one. That just requests everything in here. I'm going to round this off to normal chunks here. Oh, that's a little bit much. Let's get that in. And this one, I'm not actually producing any of this. And that goes in. This one also goes in. 100. Good. How many do we want to craft? Until this is greater than 0. Or as long as it's greater than 0. So the issue now is we don't have nutrients coming in. And, oh, this does not work, because I also need to have the classical one. That's always part of almost any build there. And also click that one, trash unrequested. So anything that's excess of what we have, just trash that. So this is what we're missing. We need some, so this, and I can just put it in here, which will be taken in and be put into this one eventually. But we also have, do we have other ways of making nutrients right now? Nutrients. From spoilage, from Yumako mash. Yeah, okay, so what we can do is we can actually get a little bit from the Yumako mash. But first things first, we get a biochamber. And now the first biochambers that we need, man, I want one more. And we can get one more. And we actually get 2 more because we also get it from productivity. Sweet, so we get a few more. This is going to be a temporary build. And it's just going to be for us right now to get things going. So I'm going to build these with a beacon in between. Forgot the beacons. We'll get those. There. No. There. And this one will just make Yumako mash and just make jelly nut thing. Why? Well, because if these spoil, then I lose out on the seeds. This process here generates some mash, which we can use, and then also some seeds. The seeds are the most important because we need more seeds. And this is why it's important for me to use this one, because then I get 74%. The weird thing is, when you have 50 of these, it has a 2% chance when processed to become Yumako seeds. That means for every 50, we get 1 seed. Every 1 seed gets us 50. So if we just process it by hand, we're just going to be net neutral. We're actually, every 50 we process, we get 1 seed, which will give us another 50 by planting it. So we need to get the productivity going with 74% so that we generate more seeds than we actually need. That's really important. And this is why I put go to this length of setting this one up. Good. So, could also just make it internal here. That one and that one. And you are... How are you not powered anywhere? There. There. And this one we have to get. And we are going to do this. So, put it in. Put it in. And they're of course going in here. And then I also need to get a little bit of this part. And right now it's just a matter of getting this one, just getting it processed so we can use it for something useful. There we go. And then we get a beacon as well. Okay, so we're getting a little bit going. We don't need the mash right now. So what we need, what you're going to do with the mash is we are simply going to convert all the mash into... this is not working. I actually need to get this going, and that should be filtered out to this one and this one. There. And I want you going out here, and then this one can then be the brain thingies. The jelly, not the cube, the jelly. Yes, there you go. And this one will then be the mash. Good. And the mash just goes in here and gets converted into spots. So we do now have a lot of this, which is unfortunately probably going to run out. But here, yeah, this is not working fast enough. There. And then it's not really getting enough fuel. So this is just a super basic temporary thing we set up. The whole point is just to make sure that we burn through this before it expires. It has not really any other value, and then getting as many as possible of the seeds that we don't have yet. We're also going to get some seeds up here. That's also going to be super valuable because that's what we're going to need to feed the next part. There and there. And this one is working pretty quickly, but the Yumako mash, we can't consume it fast enough in here. So that's it. So what we need to do, as I said, was convert this part up here to a similar design as that, and then we can bring these in to these locations. So here we now built this location. It's of course struggling to get this inbound because we don't have enough of that, but these should be available and they are sort of fed in here, and we need to start working on processing this both for what we need and also what we don't need, but kind of make sure that there's a constant flow. Most important thing about GLEBA is, don't let things get stuck on belts, as I'm right now doing crap. But you need to make sure that everything is actually working when we are going there. So the first thing we're going to need a lot more of these pentapod eggs. So I am going to actually make some more pentapod eggs and have that recirculating. So luckily we build it like this. And I'm going to put this in. Doesn't need to be fast, and I just need to request it in. So you can see it requires some pentapod eggs. This one, I'm just going to get it to 1. Ideally, we didn't want to get it in here until we have gotten it in here. This one will just get as many as possible. And how many pentapod eggs do we want? Well, we can just do this. Pentapod egg greater than 0. We want 5. So when we have 5 in storage, we're going to be fine. There's a little bit of an issue here. Oh man, I knew I forgot this. I forgot something. We also need to bring in laser turrets for this. Because... there. Oh, we do have a few. Okay, good. Because there's actually room for just a few laser turrets up here. Not massive. But we can also put in one of our good old Tesla turrets here. So that, because that stuns and that gets us, sort of protects this. Because there will be night biters hatching or pentapods. So let's go up and kill a few pentapods as we... and then we're going to go in and build some Bioflux, and we're going to do some cleanup. Because that leaves for the next time all the production we want to do, like science and all that stuff. There was something up here. Yeah, that one. There we go. And there we go. And we get a few of these. Good. And I am going to hand feed it, since this is the first thing. We want to hand feed it into the pentapod production instead of going into the biochamber production. There. So we're just going to hand feed it in here. And that gets in here, and we trash unrequested as well. It goes out. And this is going to take a little bit of time because I just put productivity modules in, but not any beacons. It does need to go fast because we don't need like a ton of these. But as soon as we have a little bit, then we're going to start generating more of these. Perfect. Right. So we don't have a lot of these, but we will get some. So let's start talking about what we want in terms of production here. Bioflux, we're going to start by just making this one here. Good. So we want to make Bioflux. Bioflux is a most important product. It has a beautiful 2-hour time. So by smashing some Yumako mash and jelly, which has very short time, we can actually get something that's much more stable and is a base ingredient for basically everything here on the planet. So we're going to be building some kind of design here, and I want to do direct insertion because, oh, and I also want to do this. direct insertion, because I want to make sure that we have we get a lot of products, and I don't want the products to be stuck on belts when it has such short time. So this one will sort of self-balance in a way that it just gets in here. Now it won't be at ratio, but you know, that's not really the biggest concern right now for me at ratio. It's just more of a, did I get some beacons? Damn, I really want some beacons. I want the beacons right there, and I want that going in. These two here. There we go. So we got productivity, and we got our beacon in here. So let's have a look at this. This is producing 5 Bioflux, which isn't a lot, but yeah, it's something. So what do we want inbound here? We are going to need to get something inbound here. That will be our production of. Let's see. Yes, this is our. This is going to be our. What's it called? Nutrient. Sorry. Yeah, nutrient coming in here. So nutrient on this belt. That means I'm going to pick up. Let's mark it so that it gets easier. Nutrient coming in. Nutrient coming in, and nutrient coming in. Good. That leaves room for some lights here. So all this is good. The only thing we need now is we need to get an inbound here, and that will be getting the respective Yumako mesh and all that stuff. But there's a. This is the now comes the joy of GLEBA, because this is the good. This is the easy stuff. We need to also make sure that this is kind of why I want it. I want to make sure that this, the seeds are going out in a separate location. So we're going to get seed, and they need to go out into a box. So that goes here. Then there's also a chance that it actually sits here in here and spoils. So we also need to always, every single thing has to be able to export this. And there. And if I go out here, then we have a return belt down there. So that's a return belt of spoilage. We got all this inbound, and that's pretty much a module. So let's cut it down to module size. I'm not going to have you as part of the module, I guess. So you... like this, maybe. No, like this. So with this done, I'm still going to put this in, and I'm going to put you up here. Right. So what we're looking at in this case is actually, I want this particular to be hit by more beacons. This is hit by 2 beacons. This is only hit by 1 beacon. The reason is this is outputting 29 per second, and this one, even beacon, is only outputting 19. And I need 13. So without this beacon here, it wouldn't be fast enough. And therefore we have a nice build. And then we just see how big this can be made in there. And basically looks to me like we have a module here. So I'm going to cut that out, and I'm going to build it here, and I'm going to build it here. So that is the module that we are looking for. Then we want always at the end, because you never really know if this one is just going to sit here and spoil. So we do need to get this out here and onto the spoilage belt. Similarly, this could also sit on the belt and spoil, and therefore that also has to go out. We have forgotten to get the Bioflux out as well, so I'm going to do this. Do we need Bioflux indicator? Not really, but well, you do. Otherwise, it'll also output the spoilage on this belt. So filter inserters are super valuable. There. And you know what? Is this correct? 1 beacon, 2 beacons, 1 beacon, and 1 beacon. So that's not really correct. Then I think this one has to be shuffled a little bit. There we go. There's a little bit of shuffling here, and now it goes 1, 2, 1, 2. The number of beacons affected, and this one has 2 beacons, 2 beacons, and down here 2 beacons, 2 beacons, 2, 1, 2, 1. That's about as good as we can make it. This one has to go back on the bus, like here, because we are going to get this one. There you go. And it will go out on a single side, because it only outputs on a single side. But here's the next kicker. We need a lot of stuff on this one. And in order for us to do that, we are actually going to do... let's get it all the way up here. This one. It should be coming in. And I am going to do Bioflux to nutrient is the best recipe for this. And I am going to actually get it out on this side, and then there. And then I'm going to get it, pick it up from itself. So it produces and then it feeds itself. But that doesn't mean it doesn't get started, though. We also can take, I suppose this one. This is working as a Kickstarter by just saying we take the nutrient from spoilage and then we take it from the spoilage belt, which goes up here. Funnily enough, this can also spoil. So if it spoils, it can't get stuck, but it has to go out and then back into it. So this gets spoilage. Then I am going to say, well, this one can actually just be output here. And then, whoops, what the hell? There. This can go in here and just kind of feed it whatever spoils from this one goes in. It doesn't self-start though. So we need to make sure that there's a self-starter mechanism here. And this one could basically say, well, feed this some spoilage because we always have enough spoilage here. Let's get it to 100 spoilage, and it shouldn't be overwhelming. There we go, 100 spoilage, but it shouldn't always be active. This should be active. Oh, funny, it doesn't exist. It should be active when the spoilage on the belt, though. When the content on the belt, this belt, enable, and when the nutrients is less than 5, right? So when there's no nutrient on the belt, please send it out there. Good. This is coming in, and this is going to be the mixed belt, and I am also going to get this one out. So you are going to get a spoilage belt, and the spoilage belt goes out here, and then we have to deal with this. The other thing is going to be a little bit dicey, so I'm going to do this instead. I'm going to get you inbound, jump over, you inbound, like this. Whoa. There we go. Oops, we just sent a little bit too much out in the wrong direction. So I'm just going to stand up here and fix anything that got in. Am I picking up? Yes. So now we have the correct mix belt. But it doesn't get anywhere because I need to get some... what does I need? I'm needing to get here. I need to get it started. And it requires some spoilage to get started. So I can just sit and wait until I get something spoiled. Or I can run around and find something. If we just get some... Like this one is... these ones are ready to go. This one actually has a little bit. This one doesn't have anything. So if I could just take these and go... And then go here. Then we get the very first... Oh, I forgot to pick it up. No! This sadness. We'll try. I have to try again. With the few we have remaining. There we go. And it goes in. And you... Come on, it was 4. Ah, man. Alright, babysitting. Even more babysitting here. Okay, this should be enough to start it. And we got the Bioflux. And now this one is getting started. It's also affected. It just needs a little bit more Bioflux. Come on, pick it up. And there we go. So now we have tons of nutrients going out here. This one stopped working because it's disabled. And we also got lots of research. So this is working good. This is the Bioflux. So we now have Bioflux. We got plenty of Bioflux actually. We are working at this speed. So we get 25 Bioflux, which is plenty of what we need. The next thing we actually need, and I need to make this now as well, is a drain for this. We do need to make sure that these don't sort of sit here idle. They need to be converted into seeds. Otherwise, we are simply running out of this. This is super important and something that's easily neglected. I also need to get rid of this part out here, which is the easy part. So let's do that first. Don't we have some of those furnaces? There. Nope, we don't have some of those furnaces. I'm going to take a few of these furnaces in. 1, 2. There. And that's going to go... We really don't need a lot. And here's a comment. Some of you might be like, no, don't just delete it. Use it for power. Not worth it. No, don't delete it. Use it for upcycling to legendaries. Yeah, I can upcycle to legendaries, so it's kind of irrelevant. But so this will just be deleting any excess we have here. Now it does kind of make me look a little bit stupid because I just not 10 seconds ago ran out of this, so maybe it's actually better to just start by going in here and just say, you know what, if it's possible, make that one, right? Just make this one. Yeah, and this one goes in here, and you're gonna go, and that will just go out into a box of goodies. Like, we might as well do this one. Here. So if it comes in, try to replace it, otherwise just burn it. That just means this should be fine for any kind of stuff we have. But that's not the most important part. The most important part is actually getting more of these done, and this is going to be a little bit tricky. Because what I need to do is I need to have the 2 main products, each of these 2, going in here, and then just burn it as fast as possible. Because this is only happening if I'm... Oh, this is the top one, so this has to be... This is all about just getting seeds out of it instead of just deleting it, burning it, or letting it spoil. So that's going to be really expensive power-wise, but I don't think that's going to be so much of a problem. There we go. This is going to run out here. And... oh, this needs to go further apart. Because I need something in between. There. Good. And then a module and a module. Oh, funny how I can't build them like this. There. These 2. They're going to be fine. And let's get some power poles out here somewhere. Get them out there. And here. Good. So what happens now is I'm going to pick up the resource here. This will be that one. And you are going to go this one. So far, so good. They need to get some inbound nutrients. That's going to be here. And that goes in here. Nutrient, nutrient. And I need to flag this. Everything needs to be filtered there. But this is not going to work because if it goes in here and the nutrient spoils, then I'm just having spoilage stuck here. So I need to be able to get spoilage out of this location. So that needs to be spoilage out into somewhere. Then I need to make sure that the only thing I want to keep here, I don't care about the jelly, I only care about the jelly nut seeds. So I'm going to, yeah, okay, let's just, there, and this one is just the seeds. And when we have the seeds, just throw them out. This is what I want. So this, flip it, and go over to the other side as well. There you go. And this doesn't need to be here because that can just be put into the next one. Right, but what are we going to do about all of this and all of this? Well, the answer to that is delete it. I'm going to get you. So that will be here and here. And these unfortunately need to be fast. And I'm going to get here. There we go. No, that's not, because it could also be spoilage. So it actually is, what I want is actually, I just want a negative filter that says not seeds. Yeah, that's probably safer to say not seeds. Great. This one flips over on the other side as well to get the same thing going. Yeah. And that will be just the same, but the different kind of seeds. There. You, and this one will just be a negative one, to not be seeds, but anything else. Good. Then I would either have to build another beacon out here just to get it faster, or I put some feed modules in. This is expensive, but it does get the job done. The only thing we're missing is we need to have a way to get nutrients in. And we already have a pretty solid way over here. We're going to do this one, I think. We'll do this one. So what are you going to do? You're going to be getting some... Guess you're going to get it in here. The spoilage in this case, we just throw it away, which is a little bit silly. Maybe I can do this like this, and then I do... There. So if I get spoilage, it goes up here. Fine. And this will now be output somewhere like this and go in. And then you're going to be grabbing it yourself here with the filter like that. And then the only thing missing is our newfound Bioflux needs to go on this belt. Ooh, but what if this belt is actually spoiling? Well, that kind of sucks then. Then I'm gonna do that. That's a kind of a solution. There we go. And that gets Bioflux in. But I also need to have a requester for this just to kickstart it. That is unfortunately how it goes. It has to have a Kickstarter here. So let's Kickstarter is gonna go in, and this will just go get 10 of these, not much, but only when you're gonna send the content and the fuel. When this content and fuel is less than 5, right? Because 5 is what I need to get started, I think. Let's do that. Cool. So it's time for us to hook this up and see if it works. Because this is surprisingly important. This is honest. Well, it might be the last one, but it goes in here and gets started. Do we have this? I can get a little bit started on this. So this one needs to, yeah. We don't have a reliable way of making fuel here. Okay, see there, fuel, it's good. There, happy. Now we get this inbound, and that's gonna be like this and like this. And I don't want this to continue any further. There we go. Let's see how that works. It goes in. It's churning pretty quickly. Obviously, not fast enough. And we need to smash another one of these in here. There. And you get power and power. Funny how they're not connected. So I think I need these to jam a little bit down. And then it works. Here. And here. Sweet. So that's a module, and we can keep making this bigger if we want to. There's also another little thing that I'm seeing now that it didn't expect. That one. Nope. This will now be split over to here. This is a little bit of a bad solution to do this, but that's what we're gonna do. So if it spoils at the end, it's good, and we get everything. And this just makes sure that we always have a flow of these belts. And right now the flow is not very much, but this flow will guarantee that we first of all, none of these expire. That's the most important. We don't want any of these expiring. And secondly, we want to have a constant flow through this. Of course, we've now been building up reserves, but then it will be deleting. I'm not going to do the same thing for Bioflux, because Bioflux has 2-hour waiting time, and I'm simply going to let it sort of, the last thing I use it for, I'll just branch it in here, and then it'll just kind of sit. If it ends up spoiling, then it'll just get rid of it by itself. But it's important, so we have the spoilage, that we use the spoilage to get a little bit here of nutrients. If that happens, and then it just turns into spoilage, and then it gets recycled. And oh, we have a little bit more of an issue here. This one, oh, that's actually perfect. There, because this nutrient is very likely to spoil on belt. Actually, there's an easier way to do this, and that is simply to go like that. There. So it goes in here, and then if it spoils on that last tile, it'll be brought in and get recycled. And you could say that this could be used for something, but ultimately, this is supposed to be an overflow, and everything here is free, and this will just generate more seeds for us, so we can actually feed this in here, because we do need it, because we don't have a lot of this, and the only way for us to get more is by actually making some overgrowth soil, which is going to do moving forward. And that's going to be the last thing we do, because that's what will potentially increase our farming potential. Because right now, as you can see, it just flows through, and then it actually just gets deleted. But these two up here, they have actually been reserved for that purpose. It is overgrowth soil, which I have here, that one, and this is the other. This is the overgrowth soil. This overgrowth soil can help us a lot in getting what we want. So you can see here, this would require some Yumako seeds and some of this and some of this. Not something I want to do right now. We have to get it going first, but it would require a lot of seeds, so we need to make sure that we actually have an excess of seeds before we do this. How do we get an excess of seeds? Well, we let this run for a number of times. We can also go out and farm some other stuff. Last thing, last thing, defenses. Defenses actually are super easy to do. Here on this planet, I figured out a way to get the absolute minimum amount of effort, which is going to work for a very long time. And that is simply going out here and using the city block pattern and just going like, okay, so this part, there, that's it. This will guarantee pretty much safe from all of these attacks. As soon as we get further out, bigger attacks will come. It's a little bit short here on defenses, but this means that we can use the city block pattern. We don't have to make a separate wall. There are no walls, there are no rocket turrets, there are no nothing, none of those silly things that are super complicated. Just Tesla turrets. They're using a lot of power, but we have a lot of power here as well. So that is going to be on the farming part of GLEBA. When that gets us going, what we need to do next is start up baking some science and make all the cool things that we can make on GLEBA, like plastic and sulfur. Yay, cool. But also carbon fiber, which is nice. And then unlock the sciences we need for later episodes. So, as usual, blueprints are available to patron supporters. So if you are a patron supporter, go snatch those blueprints so you don't have to mess too much with GLEBA in the future for yourself. And I will see you guys in the next episode. Until then, take care. And as always, stay effective.